Hey, we're finally live. All right. So, we're going to start off by talking about what we're going to be doing here is going over some books we've been reading to help promote literacy, especially among children, but also among adults. And some of the things we can talk about is reading in general, but also reading to our kids and developing the practice of reading. So, I want to talk about some of the books I've been reading recently, both to my kids and to myself. So, the first thing I want to talk about is I'm teaching two young kids to read. And it's not my first go around with this, but this book, these Bob stories, whoa, is what we've been reading recently. These are really good with and vocabulary list. It gives you the words by vowel sound and also by words. But I like these because they're short and they keep them simple. This one is simply called Frogs, and it's about this long. It's a pretty short little story, and my kids can read it themselves and they learn to read. So, very simple story. The bird was big and tall. Very simple words, sight words. These are actually a little more advanced than what we started with. I might do another live or series on some of the books we started with. But I put a link somewhere in the book that, but I also put Amazon link online to find them. And the next book we read recently was The Black Girl B. And once again, I didn't read this. I had my kids read it to me, and it's very simple. Uh, like you can see here, very pretty pictures. Grow, black girl, grow. The plant seeds for your hopes and dreams. This is a great book as well. I really enjoyed it. Very simple book to read. My kids liked reading it, and we read it over and over for most of the week. And by the end, they'd almost memorized it. And they definitely enjoyed the pictures in this book and the messages in this book. And I would recommend this one for anyone, especially if they're an early reader and they like books with beautiful pictures. I have some artists, children, and they really like the picture. Let's switch gears a little bit and we'll talk about some books I got at the school book fair recently. They always get you at the school book fair. I love going to the school book fair. It was always a big deal when I was a kid. But you see these little toys up here? That's how they get you. The toys. So my kids love the toys. This is technically a book. So it opens up. There is a book in here. I do not have a link to these. They are from Scholastic. So if you want to go get them, you're going to have to hunt them down probably at a school book fair. And we spent way too much money on school book fair books this year. But this was one of the, I call them toy books because they're a toy with a book. And Scholastic has figured out if I try to sell a book, it's probably easier if I sell a toy with it. But I don't mind getting books for my kids. So we picked up this Minnie Mouse Disney book. It's got little finger puppets that they play with, and we'll probably go play with this here in a little bit outside because it's a nice day. On that same note, another Scholastic book, another toy book. This one, Paw Patrol. So these, I'm pretty sure my kids thought these made some kind of noise, but that's about the extent of the noise they make. They just pop a little bit, you can press them in, and then they correspond with a certain page in the book. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these because the books aren't great. They're toy books. But I am for any kind of book my kids want, even if they're ridiculously expensive. This next one is something we do every now and then. Is we shift gears and we try new languages. So this one is Dulce Sueños Supergirl, and it's in Spanish. It's the big thing here. It's a superhero book. It's in Spanish, and they love the superheroes. It's pretty simple vocab. They can almost read it themselves. And I think in this book there's an appearance by Superman as well, and a couple other. I can find it here. I think there's an appearance by some other heroes in this book. But I really liked the simple vocab. And in the end of the book, here's the appearance of the super unicorn, the super cat, and Superman briefly, and Wonder Woman. In the end, they have a nice little vocab section that you can review, which I really like when books do that, especially these early reader books. Sticking to that theme of both Spanish and superhero books, we had the boys over too, so we had Buenos Dias Superman, but the girls love Superman as well. This book was, apparently one of my daughters does not like Superman. Very similar vocab. And at the end, it also has the Tareas de la Mañana, which was nice to have. And we read these books, so they got used to words. Spanish actually helps a lot with them understanding and comprehending English and reading English. This next book is one that we started off so on, and I wasn't really sure if this was too much for them or not, or if they'd even like it. But it's called Hello Ruby, Adventures in Coding. It's by Linda Luikis, I believe. I don't know if that's how you say it, but if Linda, let me know how you say your name, because we really like this book. And this part right here, the activities included, was the best part of the book. So it does have a story, and the story starts off here in the beginning, and you just kind of read through the story about Ruby, and it brings up different characters in computer science. And it talks about Snow Leopard and Django and the penguins, and Ruby and Fox, who are all kind of meant to represent different things in computer science. But here in the end are these exercises. So this one is creativity and computational thinking. And this one, you just take these pieces of wardrobe and put them on your characters. But the one we ended up really enjoying at the end was, there's a board game. And this board game helps you with logical processing, logical step taking. And we had to create our own playing pieces. We sat down and figured out how to play the game. And they actually enjoyed playing it so much, they asked to play it again and again several times. So some of the things this book kind of emphasizes are how to repeat tasks, looking for patterns, creating step-by-step plans, and thinking outside the box. Like I said, it started slow, and I wasn't sure if they were going to be into it, but it finished strong. So much so, they don't want me to give it back to the library. So I might have to go get a copy of this or purchase it from the library when we sell it. I definitely recommend this. I think there might be another book in the series. I'm going to look for that. But I like this book a whole lot. This was probably the best book of the month last month in February. This was the most enjoyed. This, there was another book I might talk about at a later point, but I don't have it here. So now we're going to talk about what I'm reading. And I swear I read more than just comic books. I just happened to have only finished. That's not true. I did finish the audiobook the other day, but I'm not ready to talk about that. I've only finished a comic book recently, like in the last couple days. But this one, Penguin, the Prodigal Bird, this one is not the prettiest cover, but honestly, it's one of the better stories I've read in a while. It talks about Oswald Cobblepot and Oswald's retirement. He has retired and moved to, I believe, Metropolis. So he's moved to Metropolis. He's hanging out with Superman. I don't know. He's not hanging out with Superman. He's running like a florist shop or something very un-penguin like. But it goes and talks about his retirement, and then he gets brought back in. You see, he's cooking here for his lady, and he gets brought back into the life of crime, and he's got to go talk to the feds or whoever. And they bring him back into his life of crime, back to Gotham. And then in the very end, they kind of switch to talk about, you see, Batman appears very